Hey there, welcome home chef to prep day. We're making one of the 5 mother sauces, something that's very versatile in your kitchen, and that is marinara or tomato sauce. It is delicious. I've done it rustic style because I'm prepping for another weeknight meal that I'll show you later. But this is the tomato sauce we're going to make today. So simple and actually easy to do. Enough nonsense. Let's get on with this, and I'm going to show you how it's done. See you in just a second. All right, welcome back, home chefs. Today it's prep day, and we're making one of the classic mother sauces, or at least my tweaked version of it. Tomato sauce, very versatile. And when you're prepping, say on a Saturday or Sunday for the rest of the week, this is a great little thing to do. There's a very little prep in terms of active prepping. Basically, you sit and wait for it to simmer most of the time. So we're going to get started with this. So what I've got here is I've got some olive oil. Normally I cook with clarified butter because it's a little bit of an Italian tomato sauce type thing. I'm going to use olive oil this time. I've got some diced onions. That's about 2 cups. I've got my favorite handy dandy garlic puree in a tube. I've got some San Marzano tomatoes. I'm going to put a link below of another chef on YouTube that did a comparison of all the canned tomatoes, and I learned a lot from it. So I hope you'll enjoy that as well. But these are whole tomatoes with their juice. I've got a couple of cups of a tomato puree, and I've got a tube of tomato paste here. It's not always traditional to add this, but I like it because it adds some flavor. The caramelization of this, when I do the onions, will really bring out some sweet flavor in this. I've got salt and pepper, of course, and controversially, I have some sugar, and we'll talk about that later. So let's get started. First, I've got the pan preheating here, and it is pretty warm. I see there's a little water in here that's coming off on steam, so I'm just going to pour my olive oil in. I don't need a lot, maybe 2-3 tablespoons. There we go. All right, get that heated up. While that is, I'm going to bring my plate for my dirty utensils over here. And I probably won't use the tongs. I might, but I'm going to definitely use the spatula. All right, I'm going to let that's starting to shimmer already. And now I'm going to throw in the onions. We're going to get those going. Basically, what we want to do is just get a very little bit of color, caramelize them slightly, not great deal. This is going to take a few minutes, and we'll go through what all I add to this. Eventually, I'll add the garlic and the tomato paste. But we'll get this going. This is so simple to do. It really is. So while that's getting started, I'm going to pop open the lid to the tomato paste here. These things are so handy. By the way, this is the best way to buy tomato paste. Have you ever opened that little can and then you got about half of it left over, and what do you do with it? Well, this is the best way to go. This is the best way to go. This will keep for a while in your refrigerator, so that's pretty cool. All right, so the onions are definitely going here. We're going to release the moisture in them, caramelize the sugars in the onions. And eventually these are going to saute probably close to 6 to 8 minutes, maybe 10. We'll see. And while that's doing it, I'm going to go ahead and add some tomato paste. And why am I adding it now? Because I actually want to caramelize the tomato paste. Remember, tomatoes are loaded with 2 things besides yumminess, umami. They're also loaded with sugar and acid. And so I want to caramelize the sugars in the tomato paste while I'm sauteing these onions. And this will bring out the sweetness, help counterbalance some of that acid in the tomatoes, and that's what the sugar is for. If you don't like using granulated sugar in your tomato sauce, and let me just tell you, there's nothing more controversial than posting on social media that you're adding sugar to your tomato sauce. I mean, they either love you or they hate you. And I never hear from the lovers, I always hear from the haters. That's a little bit hot, so I'm going to turn that down to about a medium, between medium high, so I don't burn it. And one of my instructors in culinary school said, Chef Rogers, hey, how you doing? said there ain't no such thing as a little burnt, and that is a fact. Working. And then now I'm going to add some garlic. I'm going to add about a clove. Yeah, I like that. Okay. So stir that around. Now, you know, you got to be very careful once you add the garlic because it will burn very quickly. So I'm going to keep this moving. Now I'm going to be doing this for the next 8 minutes or so. So I'm not going to bore you with watching me stir onions around. So we're going to be back when this is ready for the next ingredients. See you in a moment. Hey, we're just a couple minutes away. This is sauteing up nicely. Oh, and if you had smell-o-vision, you would be loving it right now. The aromatics in the garlic and the onions are just knock your socks off right now. Okay, this is sauteed, ready to go, and we are now about to add the canned tomatoes. I'm going to turn the heat back up because those tomatoes will be cold to the pan and will suddenly shock the heat down. Is it shock or knock? I don't know. But anyway, it's going to cool the pan off. So I'm going to turn the fire up a little bit. And here we go. Got some canned tomatoes. This is one 28-ounce can of these. I'm going to add them right there. And they sizzle away. Nice. Now I am going to, this is called a mix and chop. I'll put a link to it below. And I'm going to break up my tomatoes. Now I am going for a rustic tomato sauce because this is prep for one of my weeknight dinners, and that is going to be a skillet lasagna. And I don't really need a fine tomato sauce for that. It's going to be very rustic. This is a, you know, kind of one of those cast iron skillet meals, the skillet lasagna. So I'm not too worried about getting these fine, and they will cook down a little bit while this simmers. But this is a handy little tool. This is also perfect. Let me just tell you, ground beef, ground pork. This thing, I don't know what I did without it. This is absolutely awesome. Again, there'll be a link for this down below. All right, so got that in there. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the tomato puree. These deli-tainers, as the brand name deli-tainer, these little plastic containers are so handy. I love these things. You can probably get them online in that Jungle River store. I haven't looked, but I got these at the restaurant supply store I frequent here in my town. So I've got that in there. I'm going to let that come up to a quick simmer. I'm going to clean up as I go. Now, while this is bubbling, this is going to go gloop, 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 and it's going to splatter everywhere. So I am actually going to use a splatter screen. And so we're going to let this go for a minute, and then I will be right back when it's time to adjust the seasoning on this. We are almost done. Hey, so welcome back. I have added a little salt, a little pepper, and a little sugar, not the final thing. I don't want to fully season this because it's going to simmer for 40 to 45 minutes, and it will reduce as a result of that. And if I get it correct now, I will actually have it over-salted or that sort of thing. So we're going to let this simmer for about 45 minutes. I'm not going to keep you here while we do that, but when we come back, we're going to add some fresh basil, which I've chiffonade and then did a quick cross cut on that to get it kind of like a small dice. I just love basil. That smells awesome. And then we'll adjust our seasonings at that time, and we'll go. So I will see you in about 40 minutes. See you then. Okay, we're back, and I am calling this good. Look how thick and luscious this is. Oh my goodness. Now I'm going to taste and adjust the seasonings, and we are on the home stretch. So let me get a spoon out. Taste this. A little more salt, a little more pepper. I'm going to add the basil, and just a touch more sugar. And I'm going to stir that in. Oh my goodness. I can't wait to taste this again. This is fantastic. I hope I have some left to cook later. This is just delicious. You see how that's reduced nicely, very thick. Now I've turned this down to a medium low because I don't want it to burn. But that is so thick and luscious. Oh my goodness. So this is absolutely delicious. So be right back. All right, everybody, this is our finished product. So I put it in a nice bowl to show you, and I garnished it with a little basil to make it pretty. I'm going to take some pictures of it in a minute. But this is so easy to do. You walk through, saw the steps I did, and really I pontificated a lot, but stirred it, keep it from sticking. And the hardest part about this is having some patience to wait on it to simmer. So tomato sauce. We're going to put this away for our next weeknight meal. And until next time, a day in the kitchen beats a day of working any day. See you next time. So now we have this luscious tomato sauce. I'm going to put it away and store it until I'm ready to cook that meat. What did I say? That's easy for me to say. When I'm ready to cook that weeknight meal. So enough nonsense. Hey, we are about a couple minutes away before adding the canned tomatoes. This is sauteing up nicely, and oh, I wish you had smell-o-vision right now because the gun, easy for me to say.